All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to today's lesson. Is about analyzing box plots. So we're going to be looking at box plots and reading them and making decisions based off of them. This first section here, you're making some box plots. So the five main statistics are the min, max, quartiles, median. You get those. You draw your box and whisker plots. When it says draw a double one, I want it to look like this, right? Stack them above the same number line. So that's what's going on. So you'll have a box plot, something like this, and box plot, something like this. So that's kind of what it's going to look like. They're just stacked above each other. Anyway, let's move on to actual analyzing, though, because you should be able to make your own box plots at this point. All right. So this is on the back of the first page there. We got box plots for the annual income in thousands of dollars for 3 different professions, right? You got musicians going from, 7-ish thousand a year to over 120,000 a year. You got police officers from, 12,000 to 60,000. And then nuclear engineers, a little bit shy of about 60,000 up to just a little bit below 120,000. So, there's some spread on these in thousands of dollars there. But yeah, we're going to go through and answer some questions about it, and then we'll move on to another section. So on 9 here, it gives you 4 statements. You have to figure out if they're true or false. Let's start with A. The median income for nuclear engineers is greater than the income of all musicians. Well, you got to figure out the median income for engineers. That's the line inside your box plot. Actually, let's put some notes on here so you can remember things a little bit. Then we got min. That's min. And then we got quartile 1. We got median. We got quartile 3. I wish I could write legibly. And the last one here is the max. Okay. And you have to remember that each one of these represents 25% of the data, right? 25% here, 25, 25, and 25% of the data is in each of those sections. All right, so quick overview. Median income for nuclear engineers. Well, that's going to be the line inside, which comes out to be about 70,000, is greater than the income of all musicians. Well, these are all the musicians' income, and it looks like this line is not above these. So that's going to be a false statement. Let's move on to B. The median income for police officers and musicians is the same. Well, remember, median's the line in the middle. So we got median here, we got median here, and those are looking like the same median. So yeah, we're going to put true there. All nuclear engineers earn more than all police officers. So we got this entire section is bigger than this entire section. Well, it's really close for almost all the police officers, for about 75% of them, right? 1, 2, 3 sections, that's 75% here. Of the police officers is less than that. But there's this section here where the max police officer income is more than the minimum nuclear engineer, which means there's an engineer that earns less than a police officer somewhere in there. And so that one's going to be false. And then D, a musician will eventually earn more than a police officer. I want you to think, is this going to be a true statement or false statement? Go ahead and write it down. I'll have you check in a sec. All right, let's have you check. This one is false. And it's because a box plot does not tell you what's happening over time. You may notice this lacks time. There's no time in here at all. And so this idea of eventually earning more, someone down here doesn't necessarily get up to that point. Like this person here, the median income doesn't, if you keep working at it, doesn't necessarily mean you're going to keep going more and more and more and more. That's not true. There are some people who are quote-unquote musicians, and they've been earning the same amount of money for years and years. And then there's some musicians who earn a lot of money some years, and there's some musicians who earn very little in a year, and it's kind of off and on. So we can't tell. I'm going to put question mark. This is IDK. Like, it doesn't tell us in the graph what's happening over time. But let's go to question 10. And then we'll go to our next section. 10. Which of these three professions has the most variability? Well, variability is a measurement of how spread out the data is. We'll look at these, kind of look at how spread out these data are. Well, it's looking like this bottom one is the most spread out. Musician. And that's because, how do you know? Well, the range is large, right? The range for this goes between, what was that, 7 and 120 something, 121 or 122, which is a lot. All right, that's a huge range. You're looking at like $115,000 range, which is pretty high. And then there's this box here. The distance between our quartiles is also pretty large, right? We call that the interquartile range. And going from 20 to 80 is an interquartile range of 60. So that's $60,000 range there just in the middle. So the middle 50% spread out by $60,000. So that's really spread out in comparison to these other ones, which have much smaller ranges for both the whole data and then the box part of the data. So yeah, we're going to go now to, I do these videos on the bed and it squeaks a lot. And so, yeah, that's weird background noise. Anyway, we're going to go to this section now, which is the last section, I believe, of your assignment. And you're given a couple of box plots. And this is all the test scores from your class and then a friend's class on a previous math test. And we're going to be answering these questions about it. Well, let's start with the first one. What percent of your class got 90% or better? Well, here's 90% and or better. So we got this section here. So if you want to figure out what percent of your class, you have to remember that on a box plot, each section represents 25%. Well, this and higher covers 2 of these 25% sections. So we're looking at 50% of your class got 90% or better, which is good. 50% of your friend's class got better than what score? Well, again, each section is 25%. And we want 25 and 25 to make us 50% is greater than this score here, which is 80. Score. I guess it doesn't say it's... I guess it is percent if you read it up top. Okay. And then we got 27 here, which is talking about IQR, which is interquartile range. Interquartile range is pretty easy to get. All you have to do is figure out the range interquartiles, meaning the range between the quartiles. This is just quartile 3 minus quartile 1. It's a really easy calculation to do. It's the size of the box, or how wide it is. Well, for your class, say your, it goes between 85 and 95, which is going to be, 95 minus 85, which is 10. Not terribly big. For your friend's class, it goes between 70 and 90. So you gotta do 90 minus 70, and you can get 20. So there you go. That's the interquartile range, or IQR, for your class and your friend's class. And then we got our last question. Let's say you and your friend had the opportunity to transfer to the same class. Should you go to your friend's class, or should they go to your class? Why? This is an opinion question, but I'm assuming that people want to be in a class where they learn the best, they get the best scores, and so let's go with your friend and you wanting to be in the class that's the best class, at least the highest scoring class. Well, you have to look at your box plots. Which of these two groups is going to be scoring the highest? Well, you have to remember that 50% of your class got 90% or better on the test. And if your friend's class, 50% got better than 80 or higher, right? In your friend class, they have the lowest minimum of 60. In your class, the lowest score is about 68 there, right? And there's a lot of things about these box plots that lets you know that your class is getting the highest scores. Even though you both classes had 100, someone getting 100, yours is more weighted toward the higher scores. 75% of your class got 85 or better, right? 75% of your class got a B or better on a traditional scale, right? 75% of your friend's class got a C minus or better, right? So there's a lot of things you can notice. You're going to put your reason here. You got to mention things like this. What percent of class is getting better or worse in certain scores and things like that. But mention things from the box plots that justifies your answer. And there you go. Good luck.